Let's go ahead and get things kicked off here. Welcome to today's webinar entitled Transforming Higher Education, Practical Applications for Modern Technology and AI in Campus Maintenance. My name is Jessica Gorman, Event Coordinator for APPA. At this time, it's my pleasure to turn this over to David Trask, National Director at ARC Facilities. David is a keynote speaker and host of the Facility Voices podcast and the thought leader in facilities management. Welcome, David, our speaker for today.
Jessica, thank you so much. And thank you to the audience. Thank you for the huge audience that showed up. This is great. And what we're really going to cover today is the transition that's happening in facilities. And it's really a revolution. It's going on. It's changing so quickly with technologies and different business cases that people are utilizing to really manage their buildings. And also, we're going to talk about how predictive maintenance strategies can really help your organization to transition from reactive break fix to a really proactive approach. And I'll share some of the best practices that I've heard from the hundreds of people that I've spoke with around the country. Also, why operating buildings will continue to require a more sophisticated skill set. People that are coming into the industry are coming in knowing technology. They were born with technology in their hands. But also how technology and AI can help better with predictive long-term planning. And then finally, strategies for that long-term success. So let's jump in. So let's talk about just in our daily lives. How is information, I call it 2.0, how we consume information today. And it's like this. We all see Facebook, we see Twitter, we see all the different and also YouTube and all the different ways that we consume it in our personal lives. This is a lot different than it was 20 years ago. You know, people were relying on, or even 30 years ago, a newspaper or the news on TV. You're consuming things real time, instantly. Well, that's the way we're doing it in facilities now too. You're able to digest and get information a lot quicker than you used to. And it's really evolving super, super fast. But even from the way that we take meetings, the way it used to be versus to the way it is today. Remember those days when you would all sit around a conference room table and that's just the way we did it. It was a lot of FaceTime and we would have meeting after meeting after meeting. And this is a reality that many organizations are doing today. And it's my team's all over the place. They're running around like crazy. They're in the field. We've got leadership that's in different locations. Some of them are remote on a given day. And again, it's just the way that we're able to communicate and relate today versus the old days. Well, this is the new reality. But facilities is really, I call it the revolution. It's really undergoing a profound transformation, and it's really being driven by new technologies, new ways of managing our buildings. And just as that personal technology has changed in our personal lives, it's also changing in facilities. And it's also, you're starting to see AI coming into it. You're also starting to see different ways that people are utilizing new technologies for predictive maintenance. And it's all about enhancing your team, enhancing the way you're managing your buildings, but also to really look at how you can reduce some of those costs through monitoring and all kinds of other stuff. And I'll share some of that here in a few minutes. But what it really comes down to also is many teams are struggling with, when you hear AI, many of the facilities folks are thinking it's going to take their job. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. Here's where AI is going to help. It's going to help you with that predictive stuff, give you a heads up. It's also going to be able to help monitor things that are happening in the field, because AI can be potentially all over the place when your team can only be at certain places at certain times. But maybe it's going to give you a heads up. But also, AI is not going to climb up on that, that ladder, pop that roof hatch and go replace that filter or that belt. That someone's still going to have to turn the wrench. The other thing too is AI is not going to hear that bearing squealing and all those other things that are still going to require a person. So those barriers are going to start to fall away, where people are worried that it's just going to take their job. It's just going to give them a heads up that things are not going so well. But it's also not the Terminator. It's not going to replace everything. All right. It's not going to replace your job. It's just going to help you be able to do more and be able to give you that heads up when things are going that sideways, like I mentioned. But what it also is going to do is with technologies, it's all about, I look at this very much as user adoption. It's a tool. These are all tools in your tool bag. And the team that's out in the field, they're going to be able to utilize some of these technologies to really help them in their day-to-day. So I'm going to role play this. I just did this at a conference I spoke at this actually Monday. And it was interesting because they were saying, "Oh my goodness, how is AI going to take their job? And it's just going to do this and it's going to do that." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. What if AI were able to say, you know what? You got a work order for this unit. You got to go up on the roof, and maybe AI gives you a heads up that you've got a PM in a week." And here's the stuff you need for that PM. It's these belts, this grease, this whatever the things are you need to do that PM. Maybe it just gives you a heads up that, did you know that thing is due? And now you can kind of kill two birds with one stone while you're standing in front of the unit. You're already out there for a work order, but now you can knock that out too. It checks one thing off of your to-do list, right? And it's not necessarily going to do that on all of them, but that's the way AI could potentially help your team. But also, it's going to help break down some of these barriers with teams when you think about it from the standpoint of, my team is going to use this as a tool. Get them to use it. I got news for you. Everybody on your team has a smartphone. All of them do. They're using technology all the time in their personal lives. Now, if they can look up something on their phone and see it instantly while they're standing next to the unit, not have to climb off that roof, down that ladder, go back, jump in my cart, run across the campus, and then come back and oh shoot, I grabbed the wrong thing. No. But more importantly, documenting stuff that they find and hitting save, and everybody sees that information. That's a big deal. It's all about, and you're going to hear me say this. This is my repeating thing that I say over and over again when I talk to people. Time. In facilities, time is never on our side. And that's what this is all about. Technology is going to save your team and you time. But in facilities, again, these are tools to help them be more productive. But also, again, where I was talking about, everybody's got a smartphone in their pocket, or everybody's got a mobile device of some sort. So do the older generation on your team. The folks that have been there for 30 years, they've also got one. They may have fought it tooth and nail, but they've got one. And showing them how easy it is to access information is a big deal. I always joke that I'm the best YouTube mechanic there is. Right? I can search on YouTube and find how to fix anything, how to use anything. And there's 100 videos. So is your team. Even the folks that have been there for a long time, they're using technology today. So that's not a barrier anymore like it used to be. But some of the key drivers for the revolution is, again, the AI and predictive analytics. This is coming fast, right? It's really evolving, but it's moving from that reactive to proactive maintenance to reduce that downtime, reduce that overall risk to your organization, but that it's going to minimize that operational downtime. Also, think about it from the perspective of, a lot of the new buildings are coming in with new technology. So you've got a mix of old stuff on your campus, mix of new stuff on your campus. It's going to be able to start integrating the old and the new and migrating some of that information to make even the older buildings smarter buildings. And that's smart building technologies. We've seen it with automation. We've seen it with monitoring, leak detection, all of those different things for energy consumption as well. They're going to give you that heads up. And a lot of tools are out there to start utilizing to do that, monitor that information and what's really going on with your building. I kind of look at it as I was actually interviewing somebody on the podcast yesterday, and he was talking about it as the physical for your building. I love that. You got to be able to keep your finger literally on the pulse of your building. But also, we're seeing a huge digital transformation. If you're using paper still today, stop it. Okay, that means you guys are carrying around paper around the building, or your team is having to come off that roof to go find something in a drawing someplace or grab it out of a binder. No, you want them to be able to pull that up on their phone, be able to access that stuff. And again, it's a tool for helping them to do their job. But we're also seeing a big workforce evolution. All right. There's a huge, I call it the silver tsunami, people who are retiring out that have been with an org forever, right? Well, now you've got the next generation coming in. Their smart technology is in their DNA, right? They've used it forever. Their entire lives have evolved in with technologies, new technologies. So they're more on the forefront and easier adopters to your new technologies. But then there's a sustainability and compliance component to technology too. It helps you be able to see some of those things, predict some of those things, whether it's energy, but also some of the other things for even replacements based off a data-driven decision. Okay. It can be green initiative, regulatory compliance if you have healthcare within your portfolio. Maybe you have a research facility. All of that stuff can also be monitored real time. All right. So AI powered predictive maintenance is really going to touch this stuff. It's IoT sensors, monitoring equipment, automated alerts, scheduling, all of the machine learning as things change and as it starts to see patterns. That's what you're going to see AI to start watching, that kind of stuff, to see some of the patterns to help make some recommendations. Not necessarily tell you to do something, but it's going to say, hey, listen, you're doing X, and if you did Y, it's going to speed up potentially these analytics and also your work orders, the order in which you do that kind of stuff, right? But it also is going to help you with improving efficiency, safety, and really making sure your systems are all running smooth. But again, it goes back to that time to be proactive, minimizing downtime, minimizing some of those repair costs by giving you heads up when things are not functioning right. The goal is obviously to extend the asset life. So again, you may have a lot of your equipment that's running to fail, or you may have equipment that's end of life or 20 years past end of life, but it's running. Well, now it's going to give you a heads up that, hey, now you're starting to see a really, really substantial decline in the equipment running properly. So predictive maintenance wins, right? So AI powered predictive maintenance is really going to help you anticipate, give you a heads up that some of this stuff is not running right, but also comparing that to historical performance. And again, it's all about reducing downtime. It's all about cost savings. Again, every time you're down, it's going to cost you more money. It also can impact people within your facility, but also it's going to help improve efficiency by doing some of this stuff in advance, giving you a heads up so you can schedule those fixes. You can optimize that workload, optimize the workload of your team. Your team is running on fumes sometimes, right? The work orders still come in, and in many cases, it can be hundreds of thousands or even thousands of work orders that are coming in. And of course, it ebb and flows. But the challenge is, again, time. So if this can cut some of those obstacles out of your way so that your team can maximize the amount of time they're spent doing stuff, that's a win. That's a huge win. So let's talk about the adapting to the fast-paced change in facilities. It's a must, all right? And where this comes into play is, and let's go take a step back and talk about what we often see in buildings, in portfolios of buildings, and it's old buildings, old ways of managing them, all right? A lot of the people that I spoke with over the last few years, of 65% of their buildings are still in paper. They've got a binder someplace, or they've got a plan room or multiple plan rooms, or, drawings that are in rolls behind my desk, sitting on the shelf, or maybe they're under my desk, or my lead HVAC tech has got his own one lines, or the electrician's got his own one lines, or the plumber, blah, 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 blah. It's paper. It's somewhere, right? Well, what if that guy goes on vacation? Does anybody else know where that stuff is? Well, nearly 1 in 3 buildings in the US are over 50 years old. I look at it this way: old buildings, more stuff. Old buildings, more changes. But approximately 70% of buildings are over 20 years old. Even the newer buildings still have a lot of stuff. Where is it? Who can access it? And how often is it changing? And how are you managing that? We'll talk about that. So that's what this looks like. And I took these pictures over the last few years of plan rooms. I see this and variations of this. Sometimes this has been digitized. Sometimes I see drawings that are over behind such and such's desk, or maybe they're tucked away in an electrical room, or they're all over the place. The challenge is, if I've got something that goes sideways in my building, how can I be efficient if I don't even know where the drawings are? Or if I got to go back to a desk and do the hunt, do the search, try and find the drawings that I need. And on top of it, look at that picture in the upper right-hand corner, or the one in the bottom right. Which are the ones that happened 2 years ago? What's the renovation that happened 2 years ago? I'm thinking it's probably going to be the ones that are the most, the rolls that are the whitest there, not the ones that are all yellowed and faded. Those are probably the newer ones. So I'm going to start there. Well, there's 30, 50, 100 different plan sets in there. I don't even know if those are all for the same building I'm looking for. That's the problem. It's time. I'm digging, I'm trying to find stuff. Well, what if this happens? And this is a real story, right? Sprinkler head pops in the plan room, destroyed all of their drawings, all of them. They lost them forever, right? The remaining ones have been digitized, but again, they had to go back and try and find permit sets. They lost them all. They were destroyed, right? There's no going back. So if you've got paper, get that stuff digital. It'll save you a lot of headaches down the road. But just if you scan it, that's not good enough. I talk to people all the time. Yeah, we scanned all this stuff. We paid money to get this stuff scanned, and we dumped it on a share drive, and 3 people can access it. Or it's just like you see off to the right-hand side. It's as-built 001, as-built 001 again. What building is this for? What floor? What year? Right? They're all dated the same date. They're all dated the same times, or close to the same time. So what you have to do is click, 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 open them up and see which ones touch where. Other times I've seen where they're in a folder, it'll have a project name, no date, no building, no nothing. So there's no reference. This is no different than paper, folks. That's the problem. I dumped it on a share drive. It looks no different than that pull-out drawer there where you got those old blue lines. I'm still going to have to hunt. I'm going to have to dig. I'm going to have to spend all that time trying to find the stuff I need. The same thing goes for design construction. You're digging, trying to find all the drawings that ever touched a building, right? Same thing with your contractors, your architects. If you give them access to stuff, they're spending all that time. Again, there's that word again, time. Technology, let it be your friend, right? And this is what you want. You want them to be able to click on their phone, click on a tablet in the field while they're out in front of the unit, or they're up tracing lines or whatever. But not only to be able to see the as-bills, be able to see the one lines that they've got, be able to see all of the full MEP sets, everything, and have them layered to show where they touched, renovation to renovation, building to building, floor to floor. That's what this looks like. So remember, all those drawings that you had either on a share drive or you had them in rolls, now they're all organized by floor. This is a first floor of a building, okay? And you can see these are the renovations that touch this floor, not the rest of the floors, but they're also color-coded showing where that renovation touched. Now I don't have to open up hundreds of drawings or 50 sets of drawings that impacted a building. I've got 20. And I can click and I can easily see if I'm working on something in the bottom right-hand corner of this screen that you see here, there's 3 drawing sets. I went from taking all days, weeks, trying to dig through all that stuff to seconds. That's what technology can do today. And most of those renovations, I look at those rolls that you saw in that previous picture, those are changes to your building. Well, what those changes mean is they could be structural, but they also could be mechanical. They could be shutoffs. Changes to a building means more documentation and more stuff moved, or it's replaced, or it's added. But again, at the end of the day, all of that information should be in one spot so your team can access it no matter where they are. They're at home. They're on a roof. They're in a mechanical room. They just jumped in their car and they're 45 minutes away. Pull it up on their phone, which they've all got in their pocket, and everybody can access the stuff wherever the heck they are. It saves time. So imagine you've got a new renovation that just happened, and you got that closeout package, and a day later it shows up. It's a new layer on top of all the other layers. It's now these gray areas. That was the newest renovation from a 2025 lab remodel, and it shows up, and my team has access to it day one. That's what technology can do. You're not waiting and waiting and waiting for drawings to show up, not waiting for as-builts to get there. You have full visibility day one. And I got news for you. So does your new person who started yesterday. They see all the changes that have ever happened on your building. Think about that. That ramp up time for that new person just shrunk. So now you get time back. Now they can go do the job you hired them for. So I always call it from desk bound to mobile, desk bound to in the field. It's a new way of working in FM. Your team's out in the field. They're not sitting in front of a desk all day. They're not staring at a computer all day. If they're staring at a computer all day, then that means they're not able to go out and fix stuff in the field. They're not able to knock off a couple of more, 2, 3, 4, 10 more work orders a day or a week. That's time you get back. Well, maybe you can use that time to do PMs. You can do that time to do other side projects that you guys are working on. Time back, right? So I always call this, and this is meant to make you laugh, I call it the search, right? I see these and I took these pictures. So what ceiling tile do I pop to get to that fan coil unit? Well, I got 1 in 4 shot. All right. He knows that it's over in this area, but I'm not sure which one to pop. So he just starts doing this, and it never fails. I do this all the time on site walks. It never fails that I pop the one under the pan. It always happens, right? Or it's got a pipe up above it, or it's got, data lines right there where I can't get at whatever the heck I'm trying to see. That's your team. Every additional thing that they've got to do, all of this is time. He's got to get down off that ladder, go back up the ladder, pop the next one. Nope, not that one. Up and down, up and down. It's all about time. But also easy access to stuff. That's me on that ladder, right? I'm in a lab of a school. And that's how you have to get at that unit. You have to put a ladder and then put another ladder up on a desk and then climb up there and find out what the heck you need. Well, imagine you're able to see a photo of the actual panel you got to pop, right? And you know what filter, what belt, whatever, you've got make, model, serial number, everything of what that unit is up there before you even climb up on the ladder, right? And you also know, hey, I see I've got to grab 2 ladders because there's notes in that equipment record that says, you know what, it's you've got to, here's a photo of which panel you got to pop, but also here's a photo of where you got to put the ladders to even get up there, and you need 2. Time. Back and forth, back and forth. I see this all the time. Guys are, oh, shoot, I need another ladder. Oh, I didn't grab the one that's tall enough. Or, you know what, I got to get into a room. So what key do I need? All of that stuff can now be documented so my team can get back more of that time. This is the other thing I hear all the time too, is where's that fan coil unit? Well, just look for the stains in the grid, or look for the dirty panel that's up in the grid. Come on, right? We've all seen this stuff. It's a problem when the team doesn't know where stuff is. It's documenting where that stuff is. And that's what technology can do for your team. But I oftentimes see this too. You'll see a full grid like the picture on the left, and I'll look and I'll see a little red dot and a little blue dot. I'm assuming that's hot and cold, but I don't know where it serves. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know anything. So I start popping ceiling tiles. Well, which of those tiles do I pop? The one up on the top or the one on the bottom there? I have no idea. So again, I'm up and down ladders trying to figure it out. Well, what happens if I have a water leak in one of the building or one of the rooms that's right next to this? Is that the one that I have to shut off, or is it down, 5 tiles back because I saw another red and blue dot? Being able to document what is up there with photos, but also what do those areas serve? Is that chill water supply and return, hot water supply and return? Does it serve rooms 1 through 5? Does it serve the floor above, the floor below? I've seen that as well. Again, documenting this stuff and having a tool on their phone that they can document this stuff will save your team a ton of time. right? The other challenge is 20 to 40% of the assets in the field, they've been replaced. They've been decommissioned, they've moved, they're new. I see teams all the time, they're running ragged. They're going from one emergency to the next emergency, trying to do break fixes. They get a call from somebody for hot cold calls, hundreds of them in some cases a week, right? And as we're coming into the seasons changing, we're going to see a lot more of those too, hot and cold calls. But also what's out in the field doesn't oftentimes get updated, whether it's in your work order system, whether it's in your BAS, whether it's in the other systems that you're using today. Oftentimes the team just forgets. I mean, they're busy. You're short staffed, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that the team is able to update stuff while they're in the field. If they're writing it down on a little notepad or a sticky note and putting it in their pocket, that stuff gets lost. They forget, well, I can't even read my own writing. Well, now I can update this stuff live while I'm standing there. Take photos, update the new unit I replaced. Or you know what? Let me document the belt. Take a picture of the belt packaging so I know exactly what that is the next time I got to go replace something. Or even a panel, an electrical panel. You change out your panel schedule, being able to update the panel schedule, hitting save, and everybody sees it live. It's a big deal. Keeps everybody on the same page. But how many times is your team popping ceiling tiles and running around, going up and down ladders, just trying to find stuff in your building? It happens all the time. I see this, whether it's a ladder, whether it's a lift, whether it's going up a ladder to another ladder on a ceiling tile. It can be all over the place. And again, you want to make sure that you can access that and your team can then access that stuff and they're not having to dig and trying to remember. You got a lot of properties in most cases, right? You got a lot of buildings. It's impossible for somebody to remember where everything is. Document, document, document. It's going to save your team time. This is a great example, right? Grabs filters, right? Goes up that ladder. This guy actually set up a hook at the top of the ladder to put those. And then you can see he's got them balanced behind him. He's carrying these up there, goes all the way up there and didn't realize that the locksmith changed the locks on the actual, the roof hatch. So he's sitting there fumbling with his keys, didn't even have the key. Well, what if he were able to document that particular key he needs to get up there and even put what room and tag what room is the roof hatch, what room is that ladder in? He knows, he's been there a long time. But what about the new person? Document that stuff so everybody's on the same page, everybody's looking at the same stuff, but more importantly, everybody knows what they need before they even go out there. This is the other thing, still hunting, digging, and wasting time. Teams get frustrated, right? I hear it all the time, oh my gosh, I can't find this, or, I spent 2 hours. Share your stories. Think about your stories. How long has it taken your team to find stuff? How much time is it taken for them to find, chase that valve, chase that line, try and figure out what renovation changes happened over time. Where's the drawings for this building? What contractors was I using? What key do I even need to get into the room? Time. All of that's time. So that involves your team typically digging, hunting, trying to find that information. Well, it's changing. This is what I see often, and I love this, all right? Teams are out in the field, they're using their phone, they're using tablets, and they're documenting all the stuff, right? They're documenting stuff as they change it, as they move stuff, as they find stuff. They have tools available to update and add stuff as they find stuff. That's a big deal. It's going to save your team time down the road. It's going to save different departments time. But more importantly, when something goes sideways, this is going to reduce your downtime and also risk on your buildings, right? So accessing to shutoffs and equipment locations in seconds. This is what that can look like. So here's a school, right? You can see this is equipment, but the same thing with shutoffs. All the stuff is all pinned with the locations, photos, additional information. They've got records attached to it for inspections. They've got, links to other things, links to drawings, links to one lines, make, model, serial number on equipment, all of that stuff in one spot. but mapped out so you know exactly what room it's in. All of it's searchable, and you can add any additional information. In this case, they recorded a video or linked a video that they found on troubleshooting this particular thing, this thermostat, right? They linked it to the equipment record. So now the next person that has to go out there and work on it, they've got access to that video too. They can also record a video of themselves if they figured out a way to do something and hit save and everybody sees it. That's the power of technology. Your team can document that institutional knowledge that your team collects over time is all in one spot. And now if that person takes a vacation, their phone's not ringing off the hook all the time. Everybody has access to it. Here's a true story here too, right? School research building lost power 30 minutes before the first day of school, right? Think about that. An instructor called facilities and they sent the new person out there. He'd been on the job for 4 days, right? All he asked was, what's the panel number that's on the outlet? That's it. Just give me one panel number that's on there. All of them had panel numbers and circuits, right? He was able to pull it up on his phone and go right to that panel. They were down for 5 minutes. They've got freezers. They've got refrigeration in those sections for this research building. If that's down for an extended period of time, think about that. Is that going to ruin all of that research that they've done for years, days, weeks, or decades? That's what it means for your team to be able to respond quickly. Accessing this stuff live, real time is going to save you a ton of time. Let's talk about skilled trades. This is the other challenge is many leadership and senior leadership doesn't understand what you're going through right now with the loss of institutional knowledge for the people who've been on your team for a long time, and then just trying to find people to replace them. The labor challenge is real. And right now that labor shortage in FM is really being impacted by the evolving FM workforce, right? Industry-wide hiring difficulties, trying to find, I don't care if you're in a school, a hospital, or you're in a government building, or you're in a stadium, everybody's struggling trying to find people. But the other thing is you're seeing skills gaps. A lot of the schools are not teaching the old systems. I was just talking to a guy on the podcast the other day, and he said, I'm the only guy in our entire building or our entire team that knows pneumatics. Okay, so the new guys, they've never seen it. So he's having to teach those folks. That's the old technology, the new technology. But what he's doing is he's actually recording videos. So any of the new people will be able to see how to use these systems, how to maintain these systems. And he's doing that with technology. That's the guy who's been there for 35 years. He's documenting that stuff because he jokingly said, I don't want them calling me on a Saturday. And they will. That's what we're talking about as far as being able to update information. But the new generation of people that are coming in, they were born with a smartphone in their hands, right? I mean, they are used to technology. You got to provide them tools that'll make their lives easier. You'll retain them. They're not having to dig and get frustrated. They like instant information. So will your older folks that are on your team because it's going to save them that time. So the evolving skill set is, again, smarter buildings. It's also digital transformation, right? Being able to access stuff real time, balancing that old and the new, right? And also the workforce shift. You've got a lot of people that are retiring, and it creates that skills gap on some of that older stuff versus the new stuff, because the older guys don't necessarily know the newer stuff either. It's that co and cross training that's a big deal. It also is going to help you when it comes to regulatory and sustainable demands, all right? And this is, again, your new way of doing this from your standpoint of new hires as well. Make it easy for them to just walk in and hit the ground running. They have access to stuff day one if you do that. Also, it's going to help you with your emergency preparedness. Quick access to critical information is essential for your rapid response, but intelligent response. So modern facilities, again, it calls for that more sophisticated skill set. You've got people coming in that are more tech savvy, but also from a leadership standpoint, from a director, manager level, all the way up to your C-suite. It helps you really do some real analysis of your building, and it helps you to minimize and also reduce that downtime that you've got by interpreting the data from various sources and making informed decisions. It's not just, hey, Bob, how many times has that unit gone down? Or, hey, Betty, how many times have you gone out and fixed that thing? All right. How often are you're hearing headaches about blah, blah, blah? It's word of mouth. No, now it's data, right? Technology integration is managing and integrating different technologies. You've got IoT devices, you've got building management systems, you've got AI tools, you've got work order systems, you've got other ways of tracking information. Information is coming in from all over. Having single sources where all that stuff is held and you can access from different points from one point is a big deal, right? It points out to different systems and everything collectively is in one spot. So cybersecurity is another big one. Protecting smart buildings from cyber threats. So again, this is coming to the forefront more and more as we see different schools getting hacked, right? Keeping that information in that spot, but also having that data encrypted so that it's not easy to be accessed and having that redundancy of access, of security is going to save your team and your organization a lot of headaches. But AI for field teams, let's talk about that a little bit more. So it's going to help teams with predictive maintenance, like I mentioned, but I look at it this way. Maybe it's going to give you that heads up. And I mentioned part of this earlier is I'm going up there to work on this unit. Well, what belt does it need? Am I going to have to run up there and try and figure it out? Well, no. Maybe it tells you need that belt size, or you know what? You've got to replace a thermostat. Well, here's a YouTube video. Here's 5 videos on how people have replaced it or problems they ran into with that particular unit. And did you know it had a recall? Are you going to keep track of every unit, know which ones had a recall? Of course not. You're not going to know that. But that's what AI is going to start to give you that heads up. Listen, did you know? Or, hey, you've got other stuff coming down the pike here, and maybe you've replaced that or you've worked on that unit 15 times. You know, a new unit is X. It's going to make some of those suggestions to you so you can give your team a heads up and make some of those decisions long-term for your organization. So how technology and AI enhance long-term planning, it really comes down to data-driven decisions. So it's going to analyze historical data and help you make some of those maintenance predictive things come to reality and also help you with that resource allocation. Proactive capital planning. Give you a heads up. You know, you've got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to help you prioritize some of those investments, help you with that forecasting of equipment upgrades or even full replacements. It's also going to help you optimize workforce management, identifies labor demands, skills gaps from better staffing. It'll give you a heads up. You know what? Your newest guy he's spending more time working on that than the other guy on your team who's been there for 30 years. Maybe that's a training thing. Maybe they just don't know how to work on it, all right? It'll help you to identify some of those things to get your team all on a level playing field too. It also is going to help you look at energy and cost efficiency, right? Insights that will help reduce energy consumption. It'll let you know when you're starting to see a degradation of equipment where, you know what, you're consuming a lot more energy on this unit than you're supposed to, or we're seeing a fall off here of the unit. It's going to give you that heads up. So then you can look at that from a future planning for replacement or what can you do to enhance that piece of equipment to extend the useful life of it. It's also going to help you with improved risk assessment, predicts potential failures. It's going to look at safety risks before they become critical. It's going to give you some of those heads up. And that's what AI and technology is going to start to do for you and your organization. But the impacts on emergency responsiveness is, think about that. It's just a no-brainer. It's business continuity. It's going to help you minimize the downtimes of your different spaces in your building, potentially lost revenue, right? Also, health and safety of your building and the people in your building. It's also going to allow you to access building equipment information real time so you can respond. It's also going to help you with displacement of building occupants, staff, and visitors. Right? It's going to help minimize that downtime so you can respond more intelligently when things are going sideways in an emergency. So emergency information should be at your fingertips. Well, here's a real world example. This happens to be a K through 12, but It happens on a weekend, of course. Never happens at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually, it happens on a weekend. They had a fire breakout. This is on a Saturday, and the fire department rolls up to the building because they got a call that this unit was on fire. And it's on a roof. All right. The person who they call is the on-call facilities person. She's been on the job for 2 weeks. She's the HVAC tech, brand new, 2 weeks, right? And he says, listen, we're not just going to dump water on this thing. It's still electrified. It's also gas. Right? They said, we need to know where the gas shutoff is. We need to know where the panel is. She literally pulls her phone out of her pocket, opens it up, clicks on the school, clicks on the building, and says, oh, here's a photo. Here's the panel. It's actually in this room right over here. Walks over to the room, unlocks the door, shows them a picture. Here's the panel. It's a third breaker down on the right. They go in there, kill the power, put out the fire. They also want to know where the gas was. They go around the building. Here's the gas shutoff. Boom, boom, boom. He says, how the heck did you do that? This is a fire chief. She says, oh, I've got all of our buildings right here, all on my phone. I've got all the shutoffs. I've got all the mechanical equipment. His words. I wish every location we go to has this. Why? They are blind to your building. Well, I got news for you. Many of your teammates and your team members on your team, they're also blind to all the stuff that's in your building. It's not their fault. You got a lot of stuff. It's not your fault. You've got a lot of stuff. It's impossible for people to remember where everything is. Now they can access everything on their phone wherever they are 24/7. That's what we're talking about. So imagine if they didn't have that. What are they going to do? They're just going to start opening up doors, kicking doors open, trying to find shutoffs. No, now they get in there, they shut it off quickly and minimize the impact on this building. So strategies for long-term success. So resource allocation. AI is going to really help you, and technology is really going to help you significantly enhance your long-term planning. It's going to give you that heads up, create predictions of what can happen. Now, again, you've got to validate some of this stuff too, but it's going to keep eyes on different things and be able to pull information from what your team is feeding into different systems to help you make more informed decisions on resources, money, right? The money, how's it going to help you with energy consumption? How is it going to help you address staffing issues, also maintenance schedules, all the other stuff associated with your way you manage your buildings, help you make those strategic decisions, right? Better data, better decisions. Help you make some of those decisions based off predictive analytics, giving you a heads up. Now, not everything works according to schedule. I get that. But it's going to give you a heads up and help you with a better plan and give you those heads up because you can't be everywhere all the time. Neither can your team. Also, it's going to help you with some potential sustainability by optimizing that energy use, maybe reducing the waste and also supporting sustainability goals and looking at the patterns and make some recommendations for you and your team. Well, here's another way that AI can help you for your long-term strategy. So when you're submitting budgets, think about heat maps. So are you just sliding a piece of paper across the table that's got a number of $1 million on it, and that's for replacement costs of some of your equipment? Or are you supplying them with photos and heat maps that show what areas are impacted by if we don't replace this and they go down, this is the impact on our sites. Well, heat maps help to reduce that risk, and it also shows the cost, impact, and downtime. It also can make budget requests tangible. People in senior leadership and executive levels don't necessarily know how the buildings are operating. That's not their gig. That's why they hire you, right? But now it makes it tangible. It's visual too. It includes some of that predictive failure zones in that packet. So they understand when you're sliding that piece of paper, now you've got some supporting documents. Be brief, but show them if this fails, we're 20 years past end of life on this piece of equipment. And we've had 15 work orders on this thing in the last year, right? For these types of things, we're at end of life and it's about to fail. It may not fail today. It may not fail a year from now, but it's going to fail. Get ahead of that. Well, that's what this looks like. So it's a heat map showing there's the unit. You can see that little fan coil icon there, but they actually were able to create a heat map using technology to show where this unit serves. Now, they're not even attaching a number. If that unit goes down, it in this case, it's an OR. It's ORs 1, 2, 3, and 4. It also impacts the PACU and ICU of this particular building. They're not having to say, well, if these go down, we're losing this much money in OR revenue or impact on patients. Senior leadership knows that number. They know the number associated with that. So does your senior leadership in your facilities. It's impact on students, impact on research facilities. If you've got healthcare within your organization too, you can actually show these kinds of things, and it's real world, visual, tangible things. And that ties back to technology can help you do this and provide this with your budget to really help your team to get those funds that you need to replace some of this stuff. And visuals lead to 70% more better understanding in budget meetings. All right. Heat map based proposals are 40% more likely to be funded. Now it's real. You're putting it, again, they don't necessarily understand the why behind why you're asking for something. Now they get it. You can put it in real world terms. Listen, if you lose the air handler in your house, what happens? You're in Florida and it's July, right? You lose air in your house, it's a 911. Okay, in some cases, it can be life and death if systems fail. But also, it can help you with real-time risk visuals, improve response planning accuracy. It's a big deal. It's visual. Technology can help you with your budget submissions too. So aligning AI with organizational goals in facilities really comes down to, it goes beyond operations. It's AI supports sustainable cost efficiency and tenant satisfaction. Tenants, people in your space, whether they're students, whether they're faculty, whether they're visitors, everybody you're able to support them in significant ways. Sustainability optimizes energy, tracks resources, and reduces environmental impact. Also, cost efficiency, automated tasks, predicts maintenance, and also helps to boost some of that ROI. Tenant satisfaction, again, enhances comfort, safety, and service responsiveness. It's a big deal, but this will help you with your long-term overall objectives for your organization. So let's open it up to some questions. Jessica.
We've got a few here.
Great.
Yeah, my first question is, how can you see a drawing to find what you need on a phone?
Oh, very easy. If you have it digital, I can only talk to our system. We document all those drawings, and they're all layered, and you can click on any of the buildings, get drilled down to an individual plan set, that heat map or those maps showing the overlays and all that color coded. You can zoom in and you can see that they're optimized for mobile as well. And every plan set from the index to the sheet, and every sheet, every detail call out is hyperlinked to the detail as well. It's all hyperlinked too.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you ready for my second one?
Bring it.
Okay, there are dozens of data elements for many facility components. What are the top 5 data elements that every component record should have to ensure time is saved?
Can you repeat that one more time? Top 5?
Of course. Top 5 data elements that every component record should have to ensure time is saved.
Oh yeah, my gosh. Location, number 1. Hands down, location. Where is it? All right. Also, what is it? I will give you the different thing: make, model, serial number. Also, the stuff that some of the records associated with, I'm going to give you more than 5. Some of the records associated with that. How many times have you been out there, worked on that thing? Okay. But most importantly, it is, where is it? What is it? And then also the ability to see where it serves. I think that's the bigger thing is, if I've got a fan coil unit, it's in a hallway, does it serve this room, this room? Same thing with water, same thing with gas, same thing with electrical panels. Where do they serve? And knowing where that stuff is. But I think the most important thing when you're thinking about all those data points, what good is a data point if you can't search for it and find exactly that one thing? Let me give you an example. If I walk up to, remember that panel that I showed in the earlier example where all he asked for was, what's the panel number? Being able to type in that panel number one NLP 1 or whatever, section 1, section 2, whatever it is. Okay. Put that in there, type it in, hit enter, and it shows that one panel on a floor plan, shows you what building it is. Then you can look at the floor plan and see exactly what route I've even got to take to get there. Is it 5 buildings over? Is it in this floor? Is it that floor? Is it in the basement? That is all time. Now, being able to access that live on your phone, that's what I recommend, is all those different points will save your team a ton of time.
What was the software screenshots you were showing?
That's ARC Facilities. Call me. There's my contact information. Happy to talk to you about it. I'm often asked, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to make sure that, I can use this and I want to buy it. I'm like, I don't even know if you need anything. Let's talk. I think at the end of the day, so many people, they think that they need something, but they don't even know, they haven't even identified what they need. It's a conversation. Happy to have it. Reach out.
Perfect. Will this also work as a full document management system for plans and specs to replace something like Meridian?
It does. Yeah, it does. And it's all searchable too. So it's all OCR'd. Even the large format drawings are OCR'd. So all of them, you can do inter-document search on your as-builts. You could do all on your specs, all on your small format documents. All your closeouts can be included in there as well. All your manuals for all the parts, they're all OCR'd as well.
Perfect. Will your presentation be shared?
It absolutely will. Yeah, we'll share it after, and we're going to actually send out an email with the presentation. It'll be a PDF, and you can absolutely access it.
Perfect. I've got another question here. Says this is hitting home on many fronts. The big questions is where or how do you start? Do you provide the service to translate the boxes and roles of old data into the digital world, or do you have suggestions for who does?
We manage the whole thing. So the whole process, it's very, very small lift on your team. We're nationwide footprint. We have about 140 offices in the US. We pick up all the drawings, we get all the digital stuff that you've got, and we scan them in, we organize them, and the deliverable is essentially what I showed you. With the training, our team does site walks and maps out everything. But more importantly, we capture the baseline of stuff that we can find, but we're going to miss some stuff. So your team has to be able to access and update and add stuff as they find stuff too. I hear this all the time. Oh, geez, I'm up on a ladder and I'm working on a smoke detector and I turn my head around. There's a valve behind me. I know it's water. I don't know what it serves. Well, they don't have a method to even document that. Now they will. They can take their phone out of their pocket, put a pin on a floor plan, take a picture, hit save, everybody sees it. Then they can come back and edit stuff later. Same thing with mechanical equipment. They're up on a roof, they swap out something, they can, swapping out a motor, they're doing replacing an exhaust fan. They can update stuff on their phone real time live while they're doing it. And even document any additional stuff that's wonky about that unit. They can document it all, hit save, and everybody's looking at the same stuff. Now what happens is the information now lives with the building, not with just people. It's with the building.
Perfect. Do you only service the United States?
We actually have a global footprint too, but we'll reach out to you. Just reach out to us offline. Happy to see where we're at.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How do you connect the work order system with your system?
Usually it's through URLs, and that's the easiest way. Plus, we also take the data point, which is usually an asset number that is associated with the asset that's in the work order system, and we import that into our system so it matches. So you got like for like, but also we create URLs that go back and forth between the two different systems.
Perfect. Another question. I'm assuming that IT can use the same system to have all info in the same documents.
100%. I actually we have a section called other maps and resources where the IT group can have their own dedicated area and they can map out all their data closets. They can map out all of their routers, all the stuff that's relevant for them. And I've also done that for other departments like custodial. They'll have their own area. Grounds will have their own area. And the grounds department is I've had a couple of our clients that are mapping out everything from the sprinkler system to the sprinkler heads to all the flower beds. What annuals are they putting in? The trees. All of them can have their own dedicated space, and it's for their stuff only.
That is a really good lead into our next question. What about security? We don't want everyone to see the plans of every building.
Yeah, you can turn people on and off, and you can give them access to a folder that has all the drawings. You can even control how long they have access. They have access for one day, or maybe they can access these 3 drawings and they can't access everything else. I've got other clients that set up a full vendor group because they've got a third-party HVAC company that manages or helps them with all of their HVAC at all their sites or a subset thereof. We assign vendor groups to those, and then they have read, download only access.
Great. Looks like we've got time for a few more questions. I've got another one here. What type of drawings are used? Construction drawings, as-built, shop drawings, BIM?
Traditionally, it's as-built is what we see because that's your end set. We do have another place where we can house other stuff and other drawings. The field teams are not typically accessing a BIM model in the field on their phone. They're coming back to a desk to access those. We can put a BIM model in a folder, but traditionally those will live on a server someplace because they're usually massive files. PDF files. I've had people that are put in their Revit files in the system, but they're opening up PDFs in the field too, because again, your team that's in the field is accessing this daily. You don't want them having to load something onto their phone and it's huge files. You want them to be able to access it and update it real time fast. But any additional drawing sets that are added, so you've got, I don't know, 20, 50, whatever, 100 different projects throughout the year, those are all included. So you literally have a drag and drop folder and they're uploaded into the system literally real time. So they're in the system and they show up as a new overlaid layer if it's a renovation, or if it's a ground up building, it's added to the scope and all of a sudden there will be a new building in the list.
All right, I've got one more question for you. Can we link a QR code from asset to ARC?
It's funny. We actually have a QR code that we put on every single asset as well. So you can scan. I've got some that we've got some clients that their work order system will use a barcode or a QR code. We usually put ours right next to it. But again, they all connect. So you've got the unique asset ID number in a work order system or a BAS. We'll import that same number in when we import. But I've got other clients that have they're not confident in their equipment list or their asset list inventory because it's out of date or it's just not accurate. Our team has also done it where we've gone out in the field and we'll create the asset list from scratch. When we walk in in many cases, we'll walk into a mechanical room and according to the existing asset list, it's saying there's 3 units in that mechanical room. Well, I count 30 before I even walk in the door because they don't take into consideration a lot of times jockey pumps or the expansion tanks or any of the other side, even VFDs. We're capturing all of that information and adding it into the system. Now you can export that out, and now every other system's on the same page.
Well, this is awesome. We just reached the top of the hour. David, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Your energy and knowledge today were fantastic. One last question for you. So for the questions that weren't answered here today, we're going to be reaching out after the webinar to answer those and make contact?
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to us. If you sent the question in, we'll reach out to you directly and we'll get the people involved that can answer that best for you. Also reach out to me. My contact information is right on the screen. Also encourage you all to check out Facility Voices. I interview hundreds of your peers in the industry and they're sharing best practices. It's not a sales thing at all. It's 100% them telling their stories and sharing the best practices they're doing in their facilities.
Well, fantastic. David, I think we might pause to get some lunch. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and energy, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much, Jessica.